Hello again, everyone, and thanks so much for joining us for yet another edition of Alaska Weather on this nice Sunday across much of the interior today with clearing skies, cold temperatures, but on this 23rd day of February 2020. I'm Dave Percy, meteorologist with the National Weather Service, and I'll be hosting today's show. Up on hazardous weather graphic, wind chill advisories out here for tonight for the central western Arctic coast. Wind chills down to 55 degrees below zero, and also wind chill advisory out for the northwest coast into Kotzebue, Selawik Valley, and the north side of the Seward Peninsula, Shishmaref, and that's for wind chills to 45 degrees below zero, again overnight tonight. And over the eastern interior, we've got a winter weather advisory that's out. It's actually due to expire no later than midnight tonight. So for this evening, with the winds 15 to 30 miles an hour, creating visibilities to a half mile or less at times in areas here of the upper Tanao Valley, 40-mile country. And then for the Panhandle, Klondike Highway and Haines, the winter storm warning for the heavy snow, that's due to end at any time here. And so already snowfall tapering off across the Panhandle, becoming more showery and beginning to taper off as the main bulk of the moisture pushes on through. But winter weather advisory for additional snow remains out for the Juneau area and also along the outer coastline for the at least evening and into the overnight period tonight. And for satellite imagery, you can see the band of clouds here shifting, slowly pushing eastward, and still some showers off the coast, so precipitation tapering off, especially over the southern areas. That fell mostly in the form of snow all the way down to sea level here, even over the southern southeast coast. But over toward Misty Fjords, they're reporting some rain showers this afternoon, temperature 41 degrees there. That was a warm spot in the state, was at that location. Everywhere else in the 30s here, and lower 30s up over the northern Panhandle, where Yakutat picked up a couple inches of snow today, as did Juneau. In fact, Juneau is still carrying moderate snow at mid-afternoon with a half-mile visibility, along with a little bit of fog. Clearing out from the North Gulf Coast today, and Prince William Sound as well as the Kenai Peninsula. Kodiak Island, northwest winds kicking up to about 45 miles an hour this afternoon, but they're already showing signs of diminishing, with Sitkinak-Akiak already having received their highest wind gusts and also coming down there, higher pressure moving in and the gradient shifting eastward. But fair skies, high pressure built into the interior with light winds here from Bristol Bay right on up. Some leftover moisture kind of coming through, upper level wind flow up, pushing it up to the northeast there, but any precipitation amounts are quite light. I believe Nenana had about an inch or so in the last 24 hours. Otherwise, that's about it over the Panhandle. A little heavier snow there, as I mentioned. Even Sitka picked up anywhere from 4 to 6 inches of kind of a heavy, wet type snow there, looking at their liquid precip report. And out here in the west, storm system down south of the eastern Aleutians. Significant increase in the winds with this, much more of a wind producer for the Fox Islands, Alaska Peninsula, and a precipitation producer with winds at King Cove gusting currently up to about 40 miles an hour, while Unalaska had gusts up to 60 miles an hour and wind gusts of 63 miles an hour at Nikolsky. So definitely full gales force winds going on there and still continuing to edge its way up. Some rain and snow out toward Adak, but wind's not as strong there, roughly about 45 miles an hour there, and precipitation mostly staying south here of the eastern Aleutians, Alaska Peninsula. You can see that getting close enough there to tighten that gradient up, then a breakout here, and you can see the cloud shield associated with the next system. On the chart today, kind of banding here of the moisture, actually some precipitation right through here had come northward, and then this other band here with some snow showers out over the central Bering Sea, really west of the Pribilofs, well south of St. Lawrence Island, north of the Aleutians, so kind of just lost out there. Arctic high pressure building into the interior. Temperatures back will fall below zero tonight, definitely all the way over just about all interior Alaska down to the North Gulf Coast, Kenai Peninsula, Anchorage to Sitna Valley. definitely below zero over the interior, Copper River Basin. Lingering light snow today, again, slowly tapering off. That should end that winter weather advisory this evening over the upper Tanana Valley, and also the snow over the northern Panhandle. That's where it was heaviest. And for tonight, those winter weather advisories continue here, especially for the early part of tonight, as that trough continues to slowly move eastward. Look for a few more inches of snow possible up here, but the heaviest already has passed by. And the lingering snow showers will continue to linger, but be more isolated over toward the eastern border here. Still a risk of a snow shower for Yakutat, otherwise high pressure and control. For the most part, we've got some moisture in the wind flow aloft coming into the western part of the western interior here for clouds and some light snow showers, and maybe some light snow for St. Lawrence Island. Otherwise, mostly clear Bristol Bay, Kodiak Island. Winds continue to come down, begin to reverse direction there. It's going to be a pretty chilly night there with the calming winds, and skies remaining clear. Rain and snow, winds continue here for the Fox Islands, and snow chances continue to Adak and Atka, but winds continue to increase, but probably won't increase too much more for the Fox Islands, Alaska Peninsula. Next front trying to push in toward the far western Aleutians. And for tomorrow, doesn't quite make it, stays south of the chain there, but snow showers across or north, give or take, scattered across southern Bering Sea, mostly clear Alaska Peninsula, mostly clear for the Pribilofs, and definitely clear across all of southern Alaska. Winds increasing Kodiak Island throughout the day tomorrow, as well as along the south coast of the southeast coast, as high pressure begins to shift eastward up here. And then we'll see really holds up here over the interior. Very tight gradients. Storm warnings with this system swinging up on Tuesday, North Gulf Coast into the Panhandle, and very windy conditions even in Prince William Sound and over southern Alaska. Looking at the lows for tonight, anywhere from 15 to 25 below, coldest over the Copper River Basin, and 5 to 20 below south central Alaska, below zero into Bristol Bay, and near zero here for the Yukon Delta coast on up to St. Lawrence Island, with lows 25 to 35 below over the northern and northeast interior, and mid to upper 20s here for the Panhandle, a little milder down south. Aleutians mid 30s for your lows, followed by highs in the upper 30s, and barely getting above 10 there for Nome and Savunga. Single numbers either side of zero here for the central interior, and well below zero for the North Slope, Brooks Range, and Arctic coast once again. Highs in the mid 30s, a little cooler than today for the Panhandle. And for tomorrow night, for the lows, a little milder. Southern Alaska still cold up to the north, followed by highs. Tuesday afternoon, back into the lower 40s there along the coast of the Panhandle. 20 southern Alaska, 15 to 20 below for the North Slope and Arctic coast.
And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
First line weather graphic for Monday morning. A lot of good VFR here. Central Bering Sea right in the southwest coast, picking up some marginal VFR along the Kuskokwim Yukon River Valley, especially Yukon River, on up in toward the Koyukuk, Kobuk Valley, Selawik Valley area to almost about right into about Kivalina. Shishmaref Buckland though, VFR North Slope Arctic coast. Mostly VFR on the east side and nothing but VFR south and east of the Alaska Range, and actually all the way back across Bristol Bay, Kodiak Island. VFR for the southeast coast, Prince William Sound, and the Gulf of Alaska. Marginal VFR, though, in the afternoon creeps northward here, but doesn't quite make it to the coastline, but gets really close. Does seep into Prince of Wales Island to, well, at least a certain extent. Otherwise, stays VFR for the southeast coast. Interior Alaska, south to north from Prince William Sound and Fognak Island all the way up to the Arctic coast. Good VFR. Marginal VFR with some moisture up here. Seward Peninsula, Kotzebue Sound on up along the northwest coast to about Cape Lisburne and Pilot Point. Out here over the Bering Sea, band of IFR there, west central area on into the Adak-Atka area. A little bit of a break, and then next batch just southwest of Shimei and Attu. IFR over to the Fox Islands. And for Tuesday morning, now over the interior, conditions come down a little bit here in areas. Marginal VFR from the western Arctic coast, some IFR possible west central Brooks Range, and down toward Galena, as well as over towards, well, that's south of Eagle. 40-mile country, marginal possible IFR, but VFR southern Alaska. Bering Sea, pretty good. Pribilofs on up through the Bering Strait, VFR. and then some IFR over the western central Aleutians. Kodiak Island right on the edge there, IFR on the southeast coast. Fognak Island though in the VFR, and then IFR right over all of the Panhandle. And that continues into the afternoon, so IFR day coming up for the southeast coast on Tuesday, and deteriorating conditions here for the eastern North Gulf Coast into the eastern Copper River Basin as well. Staying VFR, Kenai Peninsula, Cook Inlet, northern Bering Sea, good VFR, St. Lawrence Island through the Strait, possible marginal VFR, North Slope, eastern Beaufort Sea coast, and looks like IFR areas of here for the all of the Aleutians, and marginal VFR up to the Alaska Peninsula with a chance of IFR, say for Sand Point. And for passes, Anaktuvuk, kind of split the difference here. I'll go marginal for Anaktuvuk, VFR for Adigan, and Lake Clark and Merrill, though, good VFR tomorrow, and maybe the next day as well. Tuesday, rainy VFR, windy, good VFR. Isabel, same forecast as well as Mentasta, Tanita, VFR, Portage, VFR. Chilkoot and White, still looking marginal. Freezing levels, not much change from yesterday. 2,000 feet way down here to the south, and at the surface, though, up along the southeast coast, south of Kodiak Island, and back up right near the Pribilofs tomorrow, and a little farther to the north out here to the west. And for icing, not much, just a slight threat here for the west central Aleutians of some light rime icing there. Same thing here for the Fox Islands, maybe a little bit better chance there of that system a little closer, but all that moisture sliding off to the east and pushing into the Queen Charlottes. Jet stream ridging here aloft midday tomorrow. In fact, ridging from western Canada, kind of an east-west pattern here. Inverted flow from the east across the southern Bering Sea and the Aleutians there, up only about 60 knots. Westerly 70 knots across the northern interior. 9,000 feet, 40 to 55 knots here near and south of Kodiak Island. And some pretty good winds across the Bering Sea, 30 to 35 knots and about 30 to as high as 40 knots there. Strongest over the western Aleutians. Coming back and around westerlies, 20 to 30 knots. Brooks Range on out to the Arctic coast, only 15 knots. And the forecast here for the Panhandle, really light winds under the ridge here over southern Alaska, 5 to 10 knots, maybe 15 on the outer fringes. And 3,000 feet, about the same pattern, low complex as the main one right in this area that'll be slipping on up on Tuesday, a little farther to the northeast. In the meantime, tomorrow, ridging over the interior, light winds up southwest, maybe 20, 25, maybe North Slope Arctic coast. Easterlies up to 35 over the eastern Aleutians and 40 out west. Moderate chop, Kodiak Island, Bristol Bay, all of the Aleutian chain for tomorrow, especially for small aircraft below 5,000 feet, and also some moderate chop developing along the southeast coast.
Dual polarization technology is a major upgrade to the current radar system. It allows forecasters a better idea of what's actually out there and can help keep you safe.
Current radar technology transmits and receives information in the horizontal direction, which is very limited. Dual polarization technology, in addition to the horizontal, transmits and receives vertical energy, which allows forecasters to get information about the size, shape, and phase of the precipitation. We can use that information to better determine the precipitation type to expect at your given location.
There you have it. This new technology is currently being installed in radars across the country and is already being used by National Weather Service forecasters to produce better, more accurate forecasts. Learn more here and follow us. Want to know about the future of weather radar? Well, the National Severe Storms Lab has it here with its new phased array radar. Let's check it out.
It's a non-moving radar. It has 4 faces of the antenna, each pointing in different directions. One of the big advantages is that we're seeing so far, it can sample the area around the radar in less than a minute, maybe even a half a minute. And this is 5-6 times faster than what they can do today.
NSSL is leading the development of future weather radar with this project. Learn more here and follow us. The Storm Prediction Center is one of the NOAA weather partners. They are located in the National Weather Center in Norman, Oklahoma. Greg Carbon gives us a glimpse into what the SPC does.
Our mission is to analyze and forecast severe thunderstorms and the potential for tornadoes, large hail, and damaging winds from those thunderstorms across the lower 48 states, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. One of the primary missions of the Storm Prediction Center is the issuance of severe thunderstorm and tornado watches across the country when conditions appear to be coming together to support the development of severe thunderstorms and tornadoes.
The world-class meteorologists in the Storm Prediction Center specialize in severe weather and keeping you safe. Learn more here and follow us.
The National Severe Storms Lab is working on increasing the lead time for severe weather warnings. The national average for tornado warnings is currently 13 minutes, but more notice would be helpful, especially for those in charge of moving large groups to shelter. Warn on Forecast will help forecasters issue hazardous weather warnings earlier. The project will give them more info about the chances of strong winds, large hail, and even tornadoes.
Currently, warnings are created by forecasters looking at the atmosphere outside, understanding its volatility, and then comparing that to how they see the Doppler radar presenting what's going on inside thunderstorms. Warn on Forecast is an idea where we're going to take the massive amounts of satellite, radar, and surface data and stick them all into a very high resolution prediction model. And then by producing new forecasts every 15 or 20 minutes, the forecasters hopefully will be able to use that model to produce warnings that extend out to an hour.
Before the National Weather Service can use this tool, it must be developed and tested. One big challenge will be deciding how to get the model predictions to the forecasters.
I'm going to keep this one very low. I'm just adjusting the track.
These hazardous weather prediction models are going to produce a huge amount of output. And this fire hose of data is just too much for forecasters to handle in real time quickly. So in order to help deal with that, NSSL has developed a related project called Facets. And Facets is the methodology which will enable forecasters to focus very quickly on the most important threats.
Once Warn on Forecast and Facets are proven to be reliable and effective, then forecasters will be better able to inform you of threats nearby. Learn more here and follow us.
The Hazardous Weather Test Bed is located at the National Weather Center in Norman, Oklahoma. It is used for experiments that will allow forecasters to learn and apply new technologies.
The Hazardous Weather Test Bed is a really unique space throughout all of NOAA. And this is where the researchers and the operational folks come together in a common space to solve operational problems and to test new research tools that the research community is working on. The goal is to accelerate the transfer from research to operations of the newest tools and techniques.
People come from around the world to collaborate on this unique project.
We can bring together not only NOAA people, but also university people, faculty, researchers, private sector meteorologists, folks working in other countries in meteorology, forecasters can all come together and focus on what the problem of the day is with the forecasters.
Each spring, several experiments occur in the Hazardous Weather Test Bed. Learn more here and follow us.
What are you looking at? And what are you ignoring? Did you notice the NOAA logo in the corner? forecasters have a lot of information in front of them too. Every second counts during severe weather, and decisions about where to focus are constantly being made. This could be even more challenging in the future. Phased array radar will produce 4 to 6 times more information than what we have now, which brings us to the question researchers are hoping to answer. Will more radar information affect forecasters' decisions?
From our past experiments, we've learned a lot about how forecasters think during the warning decision process, but we've also learned that those thought processes are very complex, and for that reason, we need a better way to be able to track forecasters' cognitive activity.
Inbounds and possibly golf ball sized hail.
An eye tracker is a piece of technology that is used to determine in real time where someone's eye gaze is located. And these eye trackers are typically video-based, which means a camera sits below a computer monitor, and with infrared light and vector analysis, we can determine where a person is looking and how their eyes are moving.
Eye tracking is already being used in the medical field and air traffic control. Using similar research methods, NSSL is discovering the benefit for weather forecasting too. Phased array radar will give forecasters a lot more to think about. Understanding their decision-making process will help researchers develop even more user-friendly tools. So what's the benefit for you? Even better weather warnings. To learn more, check us out online and follow us on Facebook and Twitter.
And now, marine weather around Alaska.
Welcome back. Today's sea ice looking much like yesterday here out over the Bering Sea into Bristol Bay, as well as Cook Inlet. And its forecast is about the same as it was yesterday also. Nothing like a consistent forecast. Slowly moving northward, then it's going to kind of shift to the west, and then when northerly winds kick back in, then it'll be coming back south again. So again, not looking for any big movement in any one direction. Again, just kind of following the wind direction as far as movement goes. So moving on to coastal water forecasts here along the southeast coast. Southeast winds 30 knots on the south coast, east winds 20 to 25 knots north side, 7 to 9 foot seas there up to 11 feet south. Central northern inside waters, northerlies at 15, and southeast 20 with 4 foot seas for Clarence Strait. Those kick up to about 30 knots on Tuesday. For Clarence Strait, seas built to 7 feet. Southeast 20 Stevens Passage. Small craft advisories for north winds at 25 knots. There for Lynn Canal, 5 foot seas, and full gales here on the north coast. East 40 to 45 knots. Seas in the lower 20s. And south 35 on the central coast. A little under gale force south coast there at 30 knots with seas near 20 feet. And Prince William Sound, north winds 20 knots tomorrow. Seas 4 feet. North Gulf Coast, northeast winds 30 knots, seas 5 to 7 feet, and gales out for the Barren Islands, northeast coming up to 35 knots. Same thing for Kamishak Bay, but 12-foot seas there for Kamishak Bay. Interesting, lower than, say, for the Barrens. But southern Cook Inlet, north winds 30 knots with 8-foot seas and much lighter 15-knot northeast winds north of the Forelands. And then for Tuesday, we'll pick it up to brisk wind advisories for northern Cook Inlet, northeast come up to 25 knots, northeast 40 knots, southern Cook Inlet with seas as high as 12 feet and 45-knot northeast winds there for Kamishak Bay, 17-foot seas. Storm warnings now for the Barren Islands, seas 26 feet, and high-end gales for the North Gulf Coast out of the east there for Middleton Island, and northeast here 45 knots for the western North Gulf Coast. And Prince William Sound, northeast, least to 25 knots sustained with seas at about 4 feet. Excuse me. Kodiak Island will go just under storm force tomorrow. Northeast 45 knots, even for Shelikof Strait, seas 15 feet. Sitkanack to Castle Cape, storms there. Northeast 50 sustained, seas 21 feet. And northeast 35 to 40 knots, 35 to 45 knots here for the Alaska Peninsula, and northeast 30 for Bristol Bay. Tuesday, gale warnings, Bristol Bay there, with northeast at 35 knots, but that will be the lightest area of all these zones. Now there's good storms out for Kodiak Island, northeast 50 to 55 knots, with the strongest wind Shelikof Strait, 50-knot winds all the way to Castle Cape. Alaska Peninsula, pretty uniform either side there, with winds from the northeast at 40 knots and seas 14, but up to 25 feet on the Pacific side of the peninsula. Look for gales for the Fox Islands tomorrow. East 35 knots, east winds 30 knots for Adak, and then back up to gale force from Kiska to Attu Island and Shimia, east 35. Northeast 30 for the far western Aleutians with east winds at 30 knots here for the west central Aleutian areas, and then east to northeast for the most part for the Fox Islands here, 25 to 30 knots, seas 12 to 19 feet. Southwest coast, south of Nunivak Island, northeast at 30 knots, turn easterly at the same speed for the Pribilofs, southeast 25, St. Matthew Island, east winds at 20 for the Yukon Delta coast, St. Lawrence Island, south at 20. And those will swing around to the northeast at 25, so brisk wind advisories here. St. Lawrence Island right on down the coast, the southwest coast, all at 30 knots, northeast 30 with brisk wind advisories St. Matthew Island and small craft advisories for the Pribilofs. Eastern Arctic coast, west-southwest 10 to 15 tomorrow, southwest 15 for the central and west side, and then 20-knot winds Cape Beaufort all the way down to Wales. And looking at Tuesday, lighter winds from the north, pretty good conditions. Wales all the way up to Cape Beaufort north at 10, northwest 10 on the west side. Light variable winds 5 to 10 knots central and eastern Beaufort Sea coast. For tonight, here's that next storm system currently bringing the strong winds. That should bring rain or snow trending toward rain for the Fox Islands tonight, but nothing too terribly heavy. And kind of a break here for Kodiak Island. Winds coming down, high pressure over the interior, some clouds, risk of snow showers or flurries. St. Lawrence Island there across Norton Sound. And this mess continues to move out. And have a great evening, and thanks for joining us.
These forecasts are for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating.